Hopefully we'll have a few more people continuing to come in, but we're going to respect your time for being here at 8 and get started. I'd like to welcome you. Good morning. For anyone who may not have been here before, I'm Karen Valentine, the Director of Guidance, and you're going to be hearing from several of our counselors today. This morning it's our 3 college counselors, Mrs. Cuneo, Mr. Fuller, and Mrs. Cowgill. But Ms. Savalos and Mr. Borchard are also here. We'll be able to answer questions you have of any of us afterwards. We're going to be talking about what your child or children, if you have more than one, can be doing this summer to make it more productive and looking ahead, whether it's for college or on afterwards. Our PowerPoint will be online on the Blackboard site. If you'd like any of this information, don't feel like you have to copy everything down that you see on the slide. You can get it off Blackboard afterwards. And I'd like to start by introducing Mrs. Cuneo. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here the day after a 3-day weekend. Hopefully you all had a good Valentine's Day and a good restful weekend. As Mrs. Valentine said, we're just going to be talking to you guys about some options for your students for the summertime. The summertime is a great time to get things done, to look ahead to the following year, and primarily, though, we want your students to still relax and enjoy themselves and take a break and not be studying or doing that all of the time. But we have compiled some good ideas that can be interesting for them and also fun. And there we go. So about the summer. There's some broad categories that we always like to bring up to students when they ask, no matter what grade level they're in. Summer work, sometimes it can be a student's first job. That could be even volunteering. You know, work has different definitions. Career exploration, a lot of students, especially younger students, will sometimes job shadow somebody. So if you have a family friend or a relative that has a cool, interesting job, they could always go and shadow them for a day or shadow them for a week, whatever can be allowed, just to see what that person does. Because a lot of times students have ideas of what they want to be, and you know, they don't understand what really goes on in that profession or that job. So and a lot of times there's jobs, most of the times there's jobs that students have never even heard of. They only hear doctor, lawyer, teacher. Those are the things they think of. So it's good to explore different opportunities if you know somebody that could shed some light on some things for them. Community service, sometimes that involves things in your backyard, or it could be, you know, a travel situation where they're doing some good. Traveling, that can be, like I said, for volunteerism, or it could be with the family travel. And sometimes throwing in a college visit never hurts too when you're out traveling. Language immersion, if your student's interested in a foreign language, or maybe they have an opportunity to do any of the above in a foreign country, the more exposure they have to life outside of, you know, Los Angeles County, the better. So all of these things kind of add up and help your student become more well-rounded. It's not always about padding the college resume. Okay, so that's not what we're about today. We're not trying to tell you what the ingredients are for getting into Harvard, or what you should do over the summer to get you this or get you that. It's more about becoming the person that, you know, your student wants to be and that you hope your student will be. And then eventually, the cumulative effect is usually something very positive, and going to college is, of course, one of those outcomes that we want to see them achieve. Prepping for college admissions, again, we don't want this to consume your student. But when it becomes the summer before senior year, if any of you are junior parents in here, that often will become a highlight of the summer, because we're offering workshops and the college boot camp, and maybe your student's studying for an SAT or an ACT. So admittedly, it does become a large chunk of the student's summer, but again, it shouldn't consume them. Okay, and out of all of the ideas that I just threw out, which are a lot, and we're going to talk some more about each one, the goal is just to have your student not look like this all the time. Okay, we want them to relax and rest. There's ways to be productive, but they don't have to be playing video games all day or doing absolutely nothing all the time, as much as they might want to. Oops. Okay, so I talked a little bit about getting a job. Okay, so the different components that make this a great idea: earning money, experiencing how the world of work works, experiencing what it means to be on time, be accountable, all of those things, gaining responsibility, and it could also end up being something long-term that a student does. Say they get a job at, as a sophomore or a junior, they continue that throughout. Of course, that's something they can put on their college application. They could also end up asking their supervisor or employer for a letter of recommendation at the end. But ultimately, as we all know in here, getting a job teaches you a lot of skills. Okay, the yes.
So in terms of getting a work permit, what age do they have to be?
I believe 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
16? Yeah, and they do that through our main office here at Chaminade. But as I mentioned before with getting a job, sometimes, a younger, because it can be hard to get your first job, but a student that maybe has an in with a family member, or maybe it's just a job that doesn't even pay, it's just something to, maybe they know somebody or they have a connection with a certain organization or a person in their office or something, all those little tasks can kind of add up. Or maybe they just come in on Saturdays and file papers, or, just getting kind of used to it. So the career exploration facet of everything, internships, like I mentioned, the job shadowing, opportunities to learn more about various things. Sometimes when you don't have an in, you don't have a person in your family or a family friend that knows somebody, or you don't have a connection and you feel like, it's so hard for your student to get a job, sometimes it might be time for to encourage your student to contact people. So some ideas up here: appropriate venues, TV, advertising, law offices, doctor's offices, vets, different things where you might be in one day getting a service done and you say, hey, is there any chance that my 15-year-old son could come do some work for you on a Saturday, or, in the month of July? You never know. People are always looking for help, and a lot of people really want to help students because they know that it's hard to find opportunities. Researching experiences, some ideas up here out in the field. Some students are really interested in marine biology, animals, the environment. There's so many opportunities like that. Lab research, we have a lot of students, if they're really, really excelling in science, and maybe they have someone that they know, or they can contact a lab at UCLA or USC and just put some feelers out. You never know. So it's a good time for students to start to really get ambitious and speak for themselves, advocate for themselves for these opportunities. Oops, did I go past one? No. Okay, and then studying in the summer. So local community colleges have for a long time been where students often want to seek opportunities. It's not always easy for high school students to get into this summer school programs at community colleges, but it's not impossible. So we always want them to take a look at those, or even some of the four-year schools. There can be some one class that they take here and there, or some kind of high school program that's very specific. If you go to UCLA or USC's website, they will have a link on their website that says high school programs. So they are out there, and we'll give you some more resources for things that are out of our area as well that you might want to take advantage of. But it's definitely something to take a look at in advance. College courses at area universities, like I mentioned, we have a lot of local colleges in our area. Sometimes your student might even be able to get college credit for something. And if not, they have the experience of going every day to a college campus, which is really, really invaluable. Residential summer programs, which we'll talk to you more about as well later. This is where a student might be able to go out of town, live on a college campus for a short time. Sometimes there are programs that are 3 weeks long, sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes 12 weeks. Just depends on what your student wants to take advantage of. If they have an interest, maybe they're interested in architecture, or engineering is a very popular field to go do a study program for, or math or science, whatever it might be. There are resources where they can go and look up certain universities, or just go to any university and check out what they have for high school students. It's very, very popular. When they're living on their own, kind of like having a job, they're learning a whole new set of skills. They're learning how to be responsible for themselves, how to take care of themselves physically, emotionally, away from home. It's very good practice. Not something we'd recommend for maybe a freshman or a sophomore, but maybe juniors, that are looking for that experience before senior year, before they're going to take that leap on their own. It's really a great opportunity to learn that. and learning what going to college really means. You know, it sounds, it's this big idea, or they've seen their siblings do it, or they hear everyone talking about it here at Chaminade. And to actually do it on their own, to be on campus and have to go to a class of people they don't know, you know, getting a taste of all that diversity, you know, is really, really powerful. So summer study is definitely an option. There's a lot of things on here that when you get the PowerPoint later, or if you've jotted notes down, these are some really great ideas. And Mr. Fuller. Next. Oh, there's some school ideas for you.
Those were the jumped out at me. Yeah, those are pretty much the most popular, the local ones, and you can see that four of them are four-year universities, and there are summer programs there. I would say if you're looking at a school, pretty much any four-year university is going to have some sort of summer program. And if you like the school, you can definitely look into it. All right. More college experience. Okay, so a lot of schools will actually have residential stay programs, 3 or 6 weeks, where the student will actually stay on campus in the dorm, which is kind of a nice little mini way to figure out dorm life, kind of how it works, experience, you know, going to the restroom with 50 other people and having to deal with all of that stuff. So residential stay programs are a great opportunity there. And then a lot of universities will have specialized programs in specific areas. The engineering, especially for Chaminade students, is a very popular one. And it's not just civil engineering, it's computer engineering, electrical engineering. There's a variety of different programs if you kind of look more in depth. The nice thing is they're actually in the field doing stuff, getting experience like that. And then as well, they're talking to local people in those areas. So that they can kind of get a first-hand account of how it is, what it's like, and get some experience and knowledge that way. Architecture is another popular program amongst our students. It's going to run somewhat similarly to the engineering program, where they're going to get first-hand experience as well as speak with those in the field. Mathematics programs are great. There's a PROMYS program, P-R-O-M-Y-S, and it'll be up in a second. And then the visual and performing arts. I mean, we have tons of students here who love all of the dancing and singing and drama and all that. It's a great way to work on their portfolio, get experience outside of the Chaminade realm, and really get involved at an intimate level with it. These are some of the popular programs. Like I said, PROMYS, P-R-O-M-Y-S. It's a mathematics program. Rose-Hulman is a technology school, a lot of engineering there, and they have a great engineering program in the summer. So those are schools to kind of look at. Okay, and then if you're not looking in the educational realm, you can also look in the service realm. There's 100 different local community service programs that a student can be a part of. Homeless shelters and food programs, the Guadalupe shelter, which is pretty close by, the Parks and Recreation departments, religious organizations, a member of your church or synagogue or wherever you belong, volunteering there. And these are all things that they can and should be putting on their college applications. So if they can do a lot of intense work in the summer and really maybe take a leadership position in something like that, that's a great opportunity. Hospitals, so West Hills has a program, and a lot of these programs, they're just volunteering, they're pushing wheelchairs around, opening doors, stuff like that. They're certainly not going to be in surgery performing anything like that, but it's a great way to get experience, be comfortable with the environment, make sure that that's something that they're actually interested in. A couple weeks ago, I did send out a link for, I'm trying to think, Children's Hospital LA. That's a very, very popular one, and it's difficult to get into. But again, even if they apply, it's a great way to experience that process, to see how it is, the competitive nature of it as well. Habitat for Humanity, if they want to pick up a hammer and start wailing away, see if they can build a house. And then working at schools, a lot of your local elementary, middle schools will have volunteer spots where they can work with kids who are trying to get caught up and everything like that. that'd be something where you can call your local school and ask them, see if they're looking for any student tutor volunteers. And then if you're not looking locally, if you're wanting to get out of the realm, go outside of the United States. There's a ton of international programs, a lot of opportunities, and then homestay experiences where they're involved in that culture. And I mean, talk about a great way to really enhance the college profile of the student. To say that you've lived in another country for a couple months is a great way to say, look, I'm cultured, I understand that there's going to be a diverse number of students at the school, and kind of help you out that way. Packing bags, and there's a variety of different ways you can go with that. You can travel, just traveling, just going with parents and going to a variety of different places. If you go in the United States, it's a great way to visit a lot of different universities, see what they're all about, see what the different cultures are like, see if they're comfortable in that area, not in the bubble that is Southern California with our perfect weather. And then as well, going abroad, taking a month trip if you can, a couple weeks, to really see and experience other cultures. And then if they're looking for something on their own, there are a lot of immersion programs, and we'll show you links for these in a second. But basically your student over the summer can go and live with another family for a month, experience that, and sometimes they'll send a student back this way. Something to think about. And basically they're really getting accultured into that area. If you look at the pictures, that picture right there is actually one of our students, senior right now. She went to Peru and helped, not only she built a greenhouse, and then she explained nutrition and a balanced diet to these people. So she gave them the tools and the knowledge, and it was part of a month-long trip to Peru where she did get kind of the broader experience, but also had the service aspect. So if you can find something like that, that's a great way to go. And then there's the college portion, and Mrs. Cowgill will cover that.
Okay, so everything we're telling you is with the intent of helping your student have a productive summer. By no means are we encouraging them to do all of these or 3 of these. It's just to go above and beyond what they normally do, and just to get outside their comfort zone and do something different really is the goal for this. And so particularly for the juniors, some things that can be done during the summer, of course, are the ever popular SAT or ACT prep, which who doesn't want to do that, right? So many students in the junior level do take organized classes, but again, we're here to remind you that we do have 2 fabulous free-to-you online programs, one through the library, which is Schmoop, and one through Naviance that the counseling office pays for, which is the Prep Me program. So that can be a great, honestly, it's beneficial on its own and is adequate for a student who is very proactive and motivated to prepare. For your students that maybe aren't as motivated and proactive, this can serve as a great supplement to those classes, because obviously that is a finite amount of time that they are working with tutors. So keep that in mind. Of course, visiting college campuses, Mrs. Cuneo mentioned it, Mr. Fuller mentioned it, I will mention it, and again, it is purely because there is no substitute for being on a college campus, plain and simple. The online tours are amazing. We understand you can't get to every college, but it just changes a student's perspective and gives them real life information to make probably the most important decision that they're going to get to make in their lives already, kind of on their own. So we really encourage you to be able to do that. Working on your college list, again, this is primarily for juniors, kind of starting to think about where you're applying. We're talking to them now about that. We're actually having a workshop this afternoon and Thursday afternoon on that topic, creating your college list for juniors. And then a really good use of time is starting to write your essay, okay? The prompts are online for the UCs, the prompts are online for the Common App, so just starting to get a draft of those essays, or even if the student, the idea of writing an essay during the summer just gives them a rash, then just have them have a place, even if it's on their phone, a notebook, whatever it is, where if they get an idea, they can jot it down, because sometimes the idea of what you're writing about is the hardest thing with the essays. So that's a good tip even for freshmen, you know, sophomore, to start thinking about an experience or, you know, something that's happened to them that they might want to write their college essay about. Okay, obviously, I don't know how to use this. Okay. So here at Chaminade, we have yes.
You said the prompts are online for the UC?
Yes.
Where are they on?
Well, you can Google them, or they're on Blackboard, on the, I don't know what tab those are under. We'll look for
We'll go
them.
over Blackboard.
We'll show you, we're gonna show you some of the resources we have on Blackboard, but we keep them on there as well and update them when they change. So here at Chaminade, of course, we have your traditional classes for remediation. If unfortunately, if your student doesn't do well in a course, obviously they can come here to remediate that. But we have a brand new program. This is our second year of running something called the Center for Excellence, that Kelly Stone has worked tirelessly trying to get off the ground, which is a huge undertaking. We're lucky this year to have a entrepreneurship camp that's being run through the My Name, My Story program of one of our students that started this this amazing, I don't even know what you call it, website, blog kind of thing, where he has actually gone into, I can't remember what his dad said, how many schools that he has that have these clubs, and they're coming here and going to have this program on our campus. He is right now at Harvard and a couple other fabulous schools right now, attending a conference to get this off the ground. So, wonderful opportunity, again, for leadership on our campus. We do have things like workshops. They're called intensive, so these are more in the fine arts area, speech and debate. So for kids that are in band, aerial, dance, these are great, taught by some of our wonderful faculty, and great opportunities. We do have a few courses that are academic, that are not remedial in nature, and that would be the critical thinking and composition and the expository comp. It's the only two classes we allow students to do as a get ahead. Okay, so the expository comp would be for kids going into 10th grade, so the summer between 9th and 10th grade, and the crit comp would be for the students between junior year and senior year. So if for some reason they need room in their schedule, or they want to lighten up their schedule and not have a writing class, because this is in addition to their year-long literature course. Okay, so they have year-long English, and in 10th grade and 12th grade they get to take an extra semester of writing.
Oh, they take it
They
They take it anyway, but you can do it in the summer.
Yes.
But it's only the first session? Or
It actually is running over, running over both. It's a little longer. It's a blended class, so they'll be on campus 2 days a week for 2 hours, so a total of 4 hours a week, and then the rest will be online.
Okay. But there's only a certain amount you can miss, so if they have other things or camps.
Right, right. And that's what I'm saying to you. There's no way that you can do everything that we are mentioning. So that might be for a student that, I'm going to give you an example. We have a lot of kids that are student athletes, okay? So they're here during the summer playing basketball or playing baseball, and so they're free in the mornings, and so they take a class like that because they're not going to some of these other fabulous opportunities, because they're constricted because of that. So oftentimes there are students that are here for a variety of reasons, and so that would be the student that would take that class.
And they're not just, you don't have to be in honors or anything.
You don't have to be in honors, but you do, if you don't meet the prerequisite, which is basically an A in your regular English class, you would have to have a recommendation of the teacher. And the reason being is this is a semester course that's condensed into a 5-week period. So we don't want kids in there being miserable, and and the purpose of both of these classes is to teach them to write better. And so we don't want them to be, not getting that experience if they need to be in the full semester course as well. So you can talk to your child's counselor about that. Another fabulous thing that runs through the Center of Excellence for our rising seniors, so the summer between junior and senior year, is our application boot camp. Do we have any junior parents in here? Okay, so for those of you that don't know, we're running application boot camp slightly differently this year than we have in the past, but maybe you don't know how we run it in the past, so. Because of our early start date, we've had to separate them into 2 specific sessions. We would strongly encourage your student to take both the writing session and the application session, but if you're on vacation, some is better than none, right? So we are running a writing session that will be basically pretty soon after school gets out. A lot of kids would have said, I'd rather just get it done and then enjoy my summer. So if you've got that kind of kid, or you're going on vacation later, so this is 3 days, and they will be working basically with in small groups with English teachers here, and they are actually writing on an essay. They start with the brainstorming, they draft, and by the end, I won't say they have a perfect essay that's ready to submit, but they have a really good working piece of writing to go forward with, and then often that English teacher is the mentor for them through the fall and will help continue to assist them with the writing. So there are 2 options for that session. Yes.
Is it just one essay they have to do, or it depends on the school?
It depends on the school. We focus on the main essay, or there's one Common App essay that you write for every school, and then some schools have smaller, shorter, some of them have a few longer, very specific. So these are general ones that sometimes can be, oftentimes students adapt for the UC. So this is a good starting point for almost any college that they're going to apply to. So those are the 2 dates for those. And then, because we have to wait till later on when the Common App and this year the UC application is up, because we're physically putting information in on their college applications. So those are later. And we have 2 options. One is not for the faint of heart. It will be an all-day, 1-day session. So we're doing this because we've had a lot of students not be able to attend for a variety of, football practice has started, band is in full swing by this time. So it is 1 day, it is a Friday, and we're gonna fill out the whole Common App between 8 and 2:30. So if we all survive, by the end of the day, the students will have all their information entered onto their Common App. And that, I can't tell you, when we work with students that have gone to boot camp compared to students who were not able to attend, the students that were able to attend are so much calmer, so not stressed out, so know what they're supposed to be doing, where the other kids are feeling like, so they're taking classes, getting everything done, and starting to do everything that some of their classmates have already done. Then we have another option, which is August 5th through 7th, and because of all our fun meetings that we have to go to, we're gonna have to run them that one session. It will be 3 days, and we'll run from 3:30 to 5:30. I think it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if I recall correctly. Those do fill up sometimes, so if there's, you can only go to one session or the other session, the registration, I believe, is up today. I think that's what she told me. I don't know why we're hang gliding, but, okay.
To register.
On the Chaminade website, there's a Center for Excellence registration, and I don't think it was there before because I think it just opened this morning. It was supposed to open this weekend, and we decided that wasn't a good combination with no one there to help in opening up a website.
What is the cost for the boot camp?
I want to say it's $125 per session. So if you do the 2 combined, it's $250. There is, if you're not taking any other summer classes, or there is a $50 registration fee. If you are doing other things through the summer thing, there's just a one-time registration fee. So the actual workshops are $125 each. I think I'm missing the fabulousness of the
Keep going.
slideshow.
Click
Okay.
to the right.
I just keep looking at this. Hang gliding.
And there's the link.
Oh, yay. Okay. So I think these are some of the resources that particularly Mr. Fuller was talking about. We are posting this online. You don't have to frantically. You're welcome to, but we will put it up so you can access these web pages. Are these on the external links, or?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
But I just wanted to show this science, the STEM, the engineering, the math, and then at the top is, we'll go over the Blackboard.
Is there more slides?
Yep,
Or are we gonna-
keep going.
Okay.
One more, I think. One more clip. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna let Mr. Fuller open up the Blackboard slide.
So I'm just going to work in the junior counseling page. Everyone knows how to get onto their child's Blackboard, yes, I hope. Okay, so every one of your children has a counseling page specific to their grade level. This is the junior counseling page. As you can see at the top, we have the announcements. We announced today that we have the workshop after school during X Block. If you click on the left-hand side on external links, once my computer decides to work.
So that's the splash page, right, when you come up to our kids page? It'll have-
Correct, yeah, it'll say junior counseling page for your son, yeah. Okay, so on the external links, there's a variety of different areas where you can get to Naviance, the NCAA, testing, etc. And at the very bottom, you'll see summer programs. But basically what I do is whenever we receive a flyer in the mail or an email, or I will take that and I will put it on the Blackboard page right here. And the freshman, the sophomore, and the junior page are all mirrors of each other. If I scroll down, you could see how many different programs there are. Still going? Yep. So there's probably on here, probably 60 or 70, and that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. That's only the programs that have come across our desks. And you can see they're very different. So there's the Johns Hopkins one, and then right above that is an Irish Life Experience one. So they're completely different. They're in quasi-alphabetical order, and so you can kind of go through and see those. So those are quick links to get to programs. For the other pieces, I know you had asked about the essays, yes? Where is it?
I don't think they're up yet because next week, we are or in March, we're doing the essay workshop with the juniors, and that's when we usually post the essay prompts, and we put sample essays up for them as well. But if you're, really anxious, like I said, if you just Google Common App prompts, it comes up. It's very easy to find. We tend to not want to put too much on the Blackboard page that's not relevant to the students, and until spring and junior year, the essay really isn't.
Yeah, and you can see, so I'm on the UC application website, and right down here is the personal statement, and there's two, the freshman prompt and the prompt for everyone, and I don't think these have changed in, 10, 15 years?
For a while.
Yeah, so it's in all likelihood going to be the exact same, so they can see them today, what they're going to be expecting to do next year for the juniors. And then a lot of these, I always tell them, if you can use one of these essays, one of these UC essays as your Common App essay, then more power to you, and that's great. Because you don't need to write 3 essays when 2 will suffice.
But the Common App essay can be different depending on which school you're sending it to? Or
The
there's one
Common
that's
App will
always
have
the
a
same?
main essay that you send to all of the schools,
Right.
and then certain schools like Stanford
You'll have a
has 4 other essays. The University of Chicago has their own specific prompt that you have to answer with relation to that school.
One last thing we didn't touch on so much about summer. Is there anyone here that has student athletes, kids that do play during the summer? Nope. Okay, a few of you. So for those kids, because you're somewhat limited, not that the coaches are not flexible occasionally, to explore outside options, what I would encourage for that is because it's very easy for you to get into the routine of, the same thing, is to have your student take advantage of some of the leadership opportunities. And that's what's going to be important, is not that they've just played a sport, but they've demonstrated leadership in that area. So a few examples just off the top of my head that I can think of in that area are things such as we run camps, and oftentimes the student athletes will assist the coaches. It's okay to ask a coach, you know, can I run this, you know, this drill area, and take it upon, you know, of course with the coach's supervision, but to plan that practice, you know, or that drill, or I'd like to try this with the students. Showing initiative is really important, and so not just being there, you know, and standing there and fooling around with their friends or playing with the fun little kids, which is great. Do something above and beyond what the expectation would be, and that would be to the advantage. The other thing that we have for students who are a little bit more tied to the area and to kind of our school is that Kelly Stone sent an email out that we are doing junior counselors and counselors in training, where they actually will be working with kids in all those different areas of camp. We this summer are going to have all the middle school programs, so that entails down to elementary school, so some really, you know, young kids on campus, and so we need lots of students to do that, and that's an application process. And again, so the student is getting leadership, they are going to be planning lessons. They're not just going to be doing what the adult tells them. They're going to actually be planning the lessons, running them, and then providing feedback on how that went for them, okay, or for the students. So that's another opportunity. And again, leadership and initiative are the key things with any of these programs that we've talked about for summer.
Where do you get that application? It went out, something went out.
There's an email. I don't know if it's posted on the website. Yeah, if you email kstone@chaminade.org, she would be able to send that to you.
This is the Chaminade page. If you click on the Home tab, and then as that drops down, there's the link for Center of Excellence, or the acceleration programs, the writing, and then the application boot camp as well. And I think the last thing we'll cover is a website called Enrichment Alley. It's basically just a search form for summer programs. So if you click on the, I guess, street sign, and then click on summer, you'll actually be able to search, and you can do by arts, academic, internships, etc. And then it will give you a list of programs specific to what you're searching for. Enrichment Alley is a great link, and it's at the top of the Blackboard summer programs list as well.
So we'd like to answer any questions that you have. It does not have to be just limited to summer stuff. So if it's testing or any other questions you have about course selections for next year, anything like that, we'd be happy to answer your questions.
Application dates that you had, August 5th to 7th, is that 5th, 6th, and 7th?
Yes.
Oh, all
5th
3
through
days?
the 7th, yes. It's 3 days.
I have a question. If you do, if you're involved in a community service program in the summer, you know, that's a significant program, away, lots of hours.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to use those hours in that program for your requirements to community service? I'm having a hard time getting an answer about that.
Yes, it's about symbols, yes. We are offering, like, for example, the students that are doing, just for example, any kids that sign up as counselors for the Center of Excellence for the summer, that will fulfill their, except for seniors. The only thing is the seniors are a little different because it's a senior project. So as opposed to where the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are, they're doing a discernment and they're selecting what they want to do and getting an approval. They can, starting this summer, they can get credit for their apostolic works. If it's a senior, what I'd recommend is that individual student needs to go to Brother Adam or Mrs. Sedek in campus ministry, contact them, make an appointment to see them, and explain what they are doing. And then Mrs. Sedek and Brother Adam are making calls on those individuals if it's a senior. For juniors, if someone's going to be a junior next year and they do a project over the summer, we are giving them credit for their apostolic works.
Okay, and well, mine is a freshman right now who's enrolled in a program for summer in Costa Rica, lots of service hours.
I'm going to probably say that's going to be a yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
we're not going to discourage you from doing that.
No, I would think not.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And So I need to fill out he needs to talk to Mrs. Sedek, or I
He
need
needs
to?
to
or-
let him do it.
Okay.
Let him go down, make an appointment, and see Mrs. Sedek. She's out of the, she only teaches one class.
Uh-huh.
She's only teaching one block, otherwise she's in campus ministry. So if he sends an email to Mrs. Sedek, says, I'd like to meet with you, can I come down, and she should correspond and say, and so get ahead of something like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
This may be a little premature, but I was wondering if you knew or who I could call to find out if the application session, it's August 5th through 7th, I think, if the LINK program, because I know that they also have,
Training.
to do that week.
You could email Mrs. Val.
They're in the process of putting together what their schedule is going to be like for training. They haven't, I just met with Mrs. LaBelle last week, so they're just starting to put a calendar together for those training dates.
Okay.
But they're under the assumption it's probably gonna be that Thursday, Friday of that week before the actual orientation process.
Which would be the same as the 7th?
Somewhere right in that
Which would be
fourth,
Thursday is
I think the fourth, the 7th is a Thursday, yeah.
So you think there could be a conflict? 'Cause I can't remember.
We haven't sat down and put calendars together
Okay,
yet,
so I
so,
can wait.
yeah,
Well,
but they're just, everybody's putting their wish list together on dates and times.
And our times are later in the day. You notice it's from 3:30 to 5:30, so
Probably not.
hopefully
Probably
they can
not,
double up and do both.
probably there won't be an overlap of that, yeah. I've asked
Yeah, ours
Mrs.
is
LaBelle to
okay.
put together a best case scenario, what they would like, and then we'll have to match it against calendars and staff responsibilities that week.
What is the apostolic requirements for sophomores and juniors?
It's the, I believe, okay, so freshmen, correct me if I'm wrong, off the top of my head, was 15 hours, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, sophomores are 15, juniors are 20.
What about seniors?
Seniors is a project, and there's a whole proposal that they have to fill out. It's usually between 20 and 30 hours, but it's a project. They're usually assigned a mentor. Like, for example, I have like 4 different groups of students that I'm overseeing their projects. So there's teachers that sign up to mentor groups, and so they put a proposal together. It has to be approved first before they go ahead and do it. But in a case of a junior that wants to do something over the summer before their senior year, like I said, that would go through Brother Adam or Mrs. Sedek.
If there aren't any other questions, we will all stay around afterwards to talk with you, and we'd like to thank our school principal, Steve LaPierre, for joining us today. And we hope to see you in March, and you have the flyer with the date on it. Thanks again for coming.